November 20th, 1995, BBC Television Centre, London, 8:45 p.m. Princess Diana had just finished the most explosive interview in royal history with Martin Bashir for BBC Panorama. But as the cameras stopped rolling, Diana made a series of off-the-record predictions about technology and communication that would turn out to be eerily accurate nearly 3 decades later. Speaking to a small group of BBC technicians and producers, Diana described a future where ordinary people would have the power to broadcast their lives instantly to millions, where traditional media would lose control of stories, and where public figures would communicate directly with the world without middlemen. What Diana predicted in 1995 sounds exactly like the social media revolution that started a decade later. But the most chilling part wasn't her predictions about technology. It was her warning about what this new world would do to privacy, mental health, and human connection itself. The Panorama interview had been Diana's way of breaking free from the royal family's media control, but afterward, she became fascinated by the technology that had made it possible. As BBC crew members packed up their equipment, Diana bombarded them with questions about satellite transmission, global broadcasting, and the emerging internet technology she'd been hearing about. "This interview will be watched by millions of people around the world," Diana said to sound engineer Peter Matthews. "But what if ordinary people could do the same thing? What if everyone could have their own TV station?" Matthews laughed. "Ma'am, that would need massive infrastructure. Only major networks can do that." "But what if they didn't need infrastructure?" Diana pushed back. "What if technology could make it so simple that anyone could broadcast from anywhere to anywhere?" This conversation started Diana's obsession with emerging digital technology and its potential to democratize communication. Over the next few months, Diana began meeting privately with tech experts, internet pioneers, and communication theorists who were developing what would eventually become the foundation of social media. One of Diana's most significant conversations was with Tim Berners-Lee, the guy who invented the World Wide Web, in January 9. Berners-Lee had recently moved to MIT and was visiting London to discuss the future of internet technology with British institutions. Through her network of academic and tech contacts, Diana arranged a private meeting at Kensington Palace. Princess Diana was remarkably forward-thinking about technology's social implications, Berners-Lee later remembered. She immediately got that the web wasn't just about information. It was about human connection and giving everyone a voice. During their 3-hour conversation, Diana made several predictions that Berners-Lee found both brilliant and terrifying. Diana's 1996 predictions: within 10 years, every person will carry a device that can instantly share their thoughts, feelings, and experiences with anyone in the world. People won't wait for newspapers or TV to tell their stories. They'll tell them immediately as they happen. Traditional media will lose their gatekeeping power. When everyone can be a broadcaster, the old rules about who gets to speak and who gets heard will completely change. Public figures like me won't be able to control our image through official channels anymore. Every moment will be potentially public, every mistake instantly global. Young people especially will grow up thinking that their lives should be constantly documented and shared. This will create new forms of mental problems that we don't even have names for yet. The line between private and public life will disappear. Privacy will become a luxury that only the most powerful can afford. Berners-Lee was blown away by Diana's intuitive understanding of social media's psychological impact, years before platforms like Facebook and Twitter existed. She predicted not just the technology, but the human consequences with incredible accuracy, he said. Diana's tech curiosity was driven partly by her frustration with traditional media's treatment of her story. She had experienced firsthand how newspapers and TV could twist, manipulate, or ignore her message. The idea of communicating directly with people without editorial interference really appealed to her. In March 1996, Diana visited MIT's Media Lab in Cambridge, Massachusetts, during a private trip to the US. Professor Nicholas Negroponte gave her a demo of experimental technologies that wouldn't become commercially available for another decade. "We showed her early prototypes of mobile devices that could capture and transmit video instantly," Negroponte remembered. Diana immediately saw the implications for both empowerment and danger. During that visit, Diana made what might have been her most spot-on observation. This technology will give everyone the power I've struggled to achieve, the ability to tell their own story directly to the world. But it will also give everyone the burden I've carried, never being able to be truly private again. Diana was particularly fascinated by the concept of viral information spread, how ideas or images could spread rapidly through connected networks. In a conversation with MIT researchers, she described scenarios that perfectly predicted viral social media phenomena. Imagine if one person shared something embarrassing about a public figure, and within hours, millions of people had seen it and shared it further. The person who originally shared it might not have meant to cause harm, but the collective power of all those individual shares would be devastating. Or imagine if someone shared a beautiful act of kindness, and it inspired millions of people to do similar acts. The same technology that could destroy someone could also inspire global movements for good. These observations came from Diana's personal experience of how stories about her could spread globally through traditional media, but she was extrapolating to a world where every individual would have broadcasting power. Diana's most detailed tech predictions came during a private dinner party at Kensington Palace in June 1996, hosted for a group of tech entrepreneurs and futurists. The guest list included early internet pioneers, telecommunications experts, and venture capitalists who were beginning to invest in what would become social media companies. During dinner, Diana presented what she called her communication revolution theory. The 5 stages of the coming communication revolution. Stage 1, 1996-2000. Personal computers will become common in every home, connected to a global network that allows instant communication with anyone, anywhere. Stage 2, 2000-2005. These communication devices will become portable, small enough to carry everywhere, powerful enough to send not just text but images, and eventually video. Stage 3, ordinary people will begin using these devices to share their daily experiences, thoughts, and opinions with networks of friends and strangers. This will create new forms of celebrity and influence. Stage 4, 2010-2015. The line between professional media and personal communication will blur. News will increasingly come from ordinary people reporting events as they happen, rather than from traditional journalists. Stage 5, 2015-2020. Society will struggle to adapt to a world where everyone is simultaneously broadcaster and audience. New problems around privacy, mental health, and information accuracy will need new solutions. The accuracy of Diana's timeline was insane. Her predictions lined up almost perfectly with the actual development of social media platforms, email, and early internet adoption, late 1990s, mobile phones with cameras, early 2000s, Facebook and YouTube, mid-2000s, Twitter and Instagram, late 2000s, and current debates about social media's impact on society. But Diana's predictions weren't just about tech adoption. They were about human psychology and social change. She anticipated several specific phenomena that wouldn't become widely recognized for another 2 decades. The comparison trap. Diana predicted that constant exposure to other people's highlight reels would create unprecedented levels of depression and inadequacy, especially among young people. The attention economy. She saw that human attention would become valuable, leading to increasingly extreme content designed to capture and hold viewer engagement. Cancel culture. Diana predicted that democratized media would create new forms of social punishment, where individuals could be destroyed by collective digital action, often way out of proportion to their actual wrongdoing. Echo chambers. She anticipated that people would increasingly only interact with others who shared their views, leading to social and political polarization. Digital addiction. Diana predicted that the instant gratification of digital communication would create compulsive usage patterns similar to gambling addiction. Maybe most remarkably, Diana predicted the specific impact that social media would have on mental health, particularly for young people. In a 1996 conversation with child psychologist Dr. Peter Wilson, she described scenarios that perfectly match current research on social media and teen mental health. Kids and teenagers will grow up documenting every moment of their lives for public consumption. They'll measure their self-worth by how many people approve of their posts. The natural awkwardness and privacy of growing up will be replaced by constant performance pressure. Young people will see carefully edited versions of other people's lives and believe that everyone else is happier, more successful, and more beautiful than they are. This will create levels of comparison-based depression that previous generations never experienced. The natural process of making mistakes and learning from them in private will be disrupted. Young people's errors will be permanently recorded and globally visible, preventing the kind of personal growth that comes from being allowed to fail safely. Dr. Wilson was initially skeptical of Diana's predictions, but later acknowledged their accuracy. Diana understood intuitively what took academic researchers another 20 years to prove through studies, that social media would fundamentally change human development and mental health. Diana's tech predictions went beyond social media to anticipate broader changes in society and governance. She predicted that traditional institutions, governments, media companies, educational systems would struggle to maintain authority and relevance in a world where information and influence were distributed rather than centralized. In a conversation with political scientist Professor Anthony Giddens in late 1996, Diana made predictions about how digital technology would affect democracy and social movements. Political movements will no longer need traditional organizing structures. People will be able to coordinate protests, boycotts, and campaigns instantly through their communication devices. Governments will find it increasingly difficult to control information or manage their public image. Every policy decision will face immediate, global scrutiny from millions of individuals with broadcasting capability. Young people will expect to have direct input into decisions that affect them, rather than waiting for elections or working through established political parties. These predictions accurately described phenomena that wouldn't emerge until the late 2000s and 2010s. Social media organized protests like the Arab Spring, real-time fact-checking of political statements, and the rise of grassroots political movements that bypass traditional party structures. But Diana's most chilling prediction was about the psychological toll that living in a hyper-connected, constantly surveilled world would take on individuals and society. In her final recorded conversation about technology with journalist Richard Kay in July 1997, just weeks before her death, Diana expressed deep concern about the world she had predicted. "I've been thinking about the future I described, where everyone can broadcast their life to the world, where privacy disappears, where every moment is potentially public. I'm starting to think it might be a kind of prison that people will build for themselves. People will think they want this power to communicate globally, but they won't realize until it's too late that they've also given everyone else power over them. When everyone is watching everyone, no one is truly free. The children growing up in this world will never know what it feels like to be truly alone with their thoughts. They'll never experience the kind of privacy that allows for genuine self-reflection and growth." This conversation happened just 6 weeks before Diana's death in Paris, chased by photographers whose aggressive tactics represented the extreme end of media intrusion that Diana had spent years fighting. The irony wasn't lost on tech researchers who had worked with Diana. She died fleeing the old media while having predicted the rise of new media that would make such privacy invasions universal. After Diana died, several of the technologists she had worked with revealed how deep her tech insights went. Tim Berners-Lee published excerpts from his conversations with Diana in a 2007 academic paper about the social implications of web technology. Princess Diana understood something in 1996 that most technology developers wouldn't grasp for another decade, that social media would be simultaneously empowering and destructive, liberating and imprisoning. She saw both the tremendous potential for human connection and the terrible potential for human harm. The accuracy of Diana's predictions became undeniable as social media platforms emerged and evolved exactly as she had described. Facebook launched in 2004, Twitter in 2006, Instagram in 2010, each fulfilling aspects of Diana's vision of personal broadcasting technology. More troubling was the accuracy of her warnings about negative consequences. By the 2010s, researchers were documenting exactly the kinds of mental health impacts Diana had predicted: increased depression and anxiety among young people, addiction-like usage patterns, and social comparison problems. The 2016 U.S. presidential election, heavily influenced by social media manipulation and misinformation, demonstrated Diana's prediction about the breakdown of traditional media gatekeeping. The rise of influencer culture confirmed her insights about new forms of celebrity and social influence. Most recently, the global debate about social media regulation, privacy rights, and big tech power reflects Diana's 1996 warning that society would eventually need to develop new solutions for the problems created by universal broadcasting capability. In 2020, Dr. Sherry Turkle of MIT, who had met with Diana during her 1996 Media Lab visit, published a retrospective analysis of Diana's tech predictions. Diana Spencer may have been the first public figure to fully grasp the psychological and social implications of social media technology. Her predictions about mental health impacts, privacy erosion, and social fragmentation have proven remarkably accurate. What's most striking is that Diana understood these implications not through technical expertise, but through her own experience of living under constant public scrutiny. She extrapolated from her personal experience of media attention to predict what would happen when everyone lived under similar scrutiny. Today, as society grapples with social media addiction, online harassment, mental health crises among young people, and the erosion of privacy, Diana's 1995–1997 predictions seem not just accurate but prophetic. Her final prediction, made to Richard Kay just weeks before her death, may be the most relevant to our current moment. Eventually, people will realize that they've traded their privacy and mental peace for the illusion of connection and influence. When that realization comes, they'll need to find ways to reclaim boundaries, silence, and genuine human intimacy. The technology won't disappear, but people will need to learn to use it without being used by it. Diana's tech prophecy reminds us that the most profound insights about the future often come not from experts or futurists, but from individuals who have experienced firsthand the human costs of living without privacy, authenticity, or control over their own narrative. She predicted social media with stunning accuracy because she lived the social media experience decades before the technology existed, constantly watched, endlessly judged, unable to control her own story, and ultimately destroyed by the very attention she had once wanted. What do you think about Diana's predictions? Are we living in the world she warned us about? Share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more untold stories about Diana's remarkable insights into the future.